Welcome to Rare Coins Numix, where every coin tells a story. Today, we explore Roosevelt dimes that have stunned collectors and investors alike, fetching prices that turn heads and spark curiosity around the world. These aren't just coins, they're rare pieces of history carrying a unique blend of artistry and incredible value. Let's start today's video with a coin that you've probably seen 100 times before. It's the kind of coin that passes through hands without a second thought, one that jingles around in your car's cup holder or falls between the couch cushions. But what if we told you that one of these seemingly ordinary coins has sold for an amount that could buy you a brand new car, or even a house in some parts of the country? We're talking about a coin so familiar, so common looking, that most people would never think twice about it. And yet, it's at the very top of our list today for a very good reason. This is the 1972 Roosevelt dime, a coin that, at first glance, looks just like any other dime in your change. But hidden in a small group of these coins lies a version so rare and so well preserved that collectors are willing to pay an incredible premium to add it to their collections. To understand what makes this coin special, let's rewind for a moment and look at the bigger picture. By 1972, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for over 25 years. It was first issued in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The coin was meant to honor his legacy, especially his support of the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. The design is simple and clean, Roosevelt's profile on the front, facing left, with the word Liberty stretched along the left rim. Just under his chin, the motto, "In God We Trust," followed by the date, in this case, 1972. On the reverse side, you'll find a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by olive and oak branches, peace and strength. There were no major design changes in 1972. No special commemorative versions. Nothing flashy or new. Just another year of production, at least, that's what most people thought. The coins were struck at 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, Denver coins carried a D, and San Francisco produced proof coins with an S. In total, hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes were minted that year, making the 1972 dime one of the most common coins in circulation at the time. With so many of them out there, what makes this one so special? It comes down to two key things: a rare mint error, and exceptional condition. During the minting process, dies are used to stamp the coin's design into blank metal discs called planchets. Sometimes, these dies aren't aligned correctly or are reused in ways that cause a slight doubling effect. This is what's known as a double die, and in the case of this 1972 Roosevelt dime, it's found on the obverse side, or the front of the coin. That means if you look closely at certain areas, like the word Liberty, the date, 1972, or even Roosevelt's facial features, you might notice a second, faint outline. It's not a trick of the light, and it's not damage. It's a mint-made error, and it only appears on a very small number of coins. The vast majority of coins from 1972 have been through decades of circulation. They've been dropped, stacked, rubbed against other coins, and generally worn down over time. Even if a coin has an error, if it's heavily worn, its value may be limited, but once in a while, a coin escapes all of that. Maybe it was set aside the year it was minted. Maybe it ended up in a mint set or in someone's personal collection and was never touched again. These are referred to as uncirculated or mint state coins, and they're graded on a 70-point scale, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. So imagine finding a 1972 Roosevelt dime with a strong double die error, and it's in near perfect condition, with a mint state grade of 66 or 67. That's an extremely rare combination. There are likely only a few in existence that meet both those criteria. Coins like this are typically sent to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Once verified and encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder, the coin can be bought or sold with full confidence of its authenticity and condition. It's not just the coin's technical features that attract collectors, it's the story behind it. It's the mystery of how a rare error like this happened, and how that coin managed to survive all these years in such pristine condition. So, how much is a coin like this actually worth? Most 1972 Roosevelt dimes, even in great shape, are worth just a few dollars. But when you factor in the rare double die obverse, combine that with a certified mint state grade, and then add in collector demand, the value rises dramatically. And now for the reveal, one such 1972 Roosevelt dime, featuring a strong double die obverse and graded in mint state by a top certification company, was sold at auction for an impressive amount. That coin was sold for $94,000. It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest coins, the ones we handle every day without a second glance, can carry incredible value under the right circumstances. Whether it's a rare mint error, pristine condition, or just being in the right place at the right time, coins like this prove that numismatics is full of surprises. That if you're a collector, this is the kind of find that keeps the hunt exciting. And if you're just getting started, it shows why checking your pocket change might be worth your time. So before you spend that next dime, take a closer look. You never know what you might be holding. Now, let's move on to the next coin on our list. You know, sometimes the most valuable things are the ones hiding in plain sight, not behind glass or in safes, but right in your hand, mixed in with everyday change. Today's second coin is the perfect example of that. It's not old. It doesn't sparkle with silver or gold. And unless you're paying close attention, you'd probably spend it without a second thought. But this isn't just any ordinary dime. This is the 1989 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin that looks like a typical piece of pocket change but has one detail that completely transforms its identity and its value. Let's rewind for a moment to 1989. It was a year of transformation. The Berlin Wall fell, Game Boys hit store shelves, and compact discs were becoming the new standard for music. But at the US Mint, things were mostly business as usual. Coins were being struck by the millions, following long-established designs and procedures. The Roosevelt dime had already been around for decades, and by 1989, it was a familiar sight in everyone's wallet. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion dimes that year, all marked with a small P above the date. These were everyday coins, intended for everyday use. But once in a while, something unusual slips through. Not because of age or wear, but because of how the coin was created. That's exactly what happened with a tiny handful of dimes from 1989. One in particular has caught the attention of collectors and experts alike, thanks to a highly unusual minting mistake, a wrong planchet error. Now, if you're new to coin collecting, here's what that means. Every coin is supposed to be struck on a specific blank metal disc called a planchet. Dimes are usually struck on a copper-nickel clad planchet, measuring just under 18 mm in diameter and weighing 2.27 grams. But in rare cases, a blank meant for a completely different coin, like a penny, ends up in the machine instead. The result? A dime design struck on a penny-sized piece of metal. The coin ends up smaller, lighter, and slightly off in color. That's exactly what happened here. A 1989 Roosevelt dime was mistakenly struck on a Lincoln cent planchet, which is smaller and made primarily of zinc. This type of error is so rare that very few collectors have ever seen one in person, let alone owned one. The most fascinating part is how easy it is to overlook. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a damaged or misstruck coin. Some might even think it's fake. But for collectors who understand what to look for, the correct design, the incorrect weight, the slightly off shape, it's a jackpot. And here's where things get even more interesting. This particular error wasn't caused by damage, wear, or environmental factors. It happened inside the US Mint, during production. That makes it a true mint error, not post-mint damage. And errors that originate at the mint, especially wrong planchet strikes, are highly collectible because of how rarely they occur and how difficult they are to detect in circulation. Another factor that drives value. Condition. This 1989 dime isn't just rare because of the error, it's also in outstanding shape. That means sharp details, clear edges, no heavy scratches or dings, and plenty of original surface luster. Most coins with errors like this get overlooked and damaged before anyone realizes what they are. Finding one in top condition is like catching lightning in a bottle. The coin's weight and dimensions are slightly off from a normal dime, and that's part of the reason it stands out to experts. But it's also subtle enough that an average person might never notice. It takes a trained eye, or a lucky moment. To spot something this unique, coins like this are sometimes kept in collections for decades before their true value is discovered. Others sit in change jars, completely forgotten. And once identified and verified, they can become centerpiece items in any era coin collection. So let's talk about value. Most 1989 Roosevelt dimes are worth face value. Some, in perfect mint state condition, might be worth a few dollars to the right buyer. But when a dime has this level of rarity, a wrong planchet strike, clear date and mint mark, and high preservation, the value takes a massive leap. And now, the part you've been waiting for, this specific 1989 Roosevelt dime, struck on a penny planchet and verified to be a true mint error, has been valued at an astounding $70,000. That's right, $70,000. For a coin you could easily mistake for a defective penny or an oddly worn dime. It's a perfect reminder that valuable coins aren't always shiny, old, or made of precious metals. Sometimes, it's the rare mistakes, the quiet errors that slip through unnoticed, that turn out to be the most incredible finds. So the next time you're looking through your change, don't just glance. Look closely. Measure the weight if something feels off. Because history, rarity, and real value might be sitting right there in your palm. The next coin on our list is one that might just change the way you look at modern coins altogether. It's small, it's familiar, and it's from a year that doesn't feel that long ago. But what makes it special isn't how old it is, it's what went wrong during the minting process. And in this case, that wrong turned out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. This is the 1996 Roosevelt dime, and it's not just another dime from the 90s. This one carries a very specific and rare mint error that transformed it into one of the most talked about error coins in recent decades. Let's set the stage. 1996 marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime. Since 1946, the design had remained largely unchanged, becoming one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. circulation. That year, the U.S. Mint celebrated with a special silver-proof version for collectors. But alongside that, the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions of standard circulation dimes, business as usual. These coins bore the P mint mark, and to most people, they looked just like any other dime. But hidden within those countless coins, something unusual happened, a minting mistake that went unnoticed by machines and made its way into circulation. The specific error? A dramatic misaligned die strike, one of the most visually striking mint errors that can occur now. If you're not familiar with how coins are made, here's a quick breakdown. Coins are struck by two dies, one for each side of the coin. They have to line up precisely in order to stamp the design evenly. When those dies are out of alignment, the design can appear off-center or shifted, sometimes by a little, sometimes by a lot. In this case, the 1996 dime was struck with the dies noticeably out of alignment, especially on the reverse side. The back of the coin shows the design shifted far from center, with parts of the image nearly falling off the edge. On the obverse, Roosevelt's portrait appears mostly centered, which actually makes the error more noticeable and more dramatic. The result is a coin that immediately catches the eye, but only if someone's paying close enough attention. What makes this error even more significant is the timing. In 1996, production equipment was modern, and quality control at the mints had improved significantly compared to earlier decades. That means mistakes like this were far less likely to happen, and even less likely to escape unnoticed. So when something like this does get through, it raises eyebrows among collectors and experts. There are a few reasons why misaligned die strikes are so collectible. First, they're easy to identify, even without magnification. Second, they're undeniably mint-made. And third, when the error is severe, as it is in this case, the visual appeal is strong, which adds to its desirability. But here's the catch: not all misalignments are equal. Mild misalignments happen from time to time and may go unnoticed. But when the design shifts to the point where parts of it are almost missing, and the coin is still struck cleanly, with no additional damage, that's where the value starts to climb. And this particular 1996 dime didn't just get misaligned. It got misaligned in a way that still preserved the detail, kept the date and mint mark visible, and resulted in a clean, centered obverse. That balance between the error and the coin's readability makes it even more collectible. Now let's talk about condition, because that's where things really start to separate average error coins from premium pieces. This dime didn't spend years being handled, scratched, or tossed in a jar. It was somehow preserved, likely pulled early and stored safely. The surfaces are clean, the luster remains strong, and the fine details, especially on Roosevelt's face and the torch on the reverse, are all still present. It's the kind of coin that stands out in a professional grading submission, and once verified as a mint-made error, it becomes a standout in any collection. Another reason collectors chase coins like this? They're real. They're not altered, gimmicky, or artificially produced. They're mistakes, genuine human or mechanical errors in a system designed to prevent them. And because of that, they carry a certain authenticity that's hard to replicate. Coins like this tell a story, of a machine slipping out of sync, of a coin slipping through inspection, and of someone lucky enough to find it, and recognize what it was. And now, here's the part you've been waiting for. While ordinary 1996p dimes are everywhere, in change, in drawers, in circulation, this one stands in a category all its own. Thanks to its bold misalignment, strong condition, and confirmed mint-made status, this particular 1996p Roosevelt dime has been valued at an incredible $62,000. Yes, $62,000. For a dime that, at first glance, looks like it just left the mint a little off-center. It's a perfect example of why modern coin errors are worth paying attention to, and how sometimes, the biggest value isn't in precious metals or age, but in what went unexpectedly, perfectly wrong. So next time you're flipping through change or organizing a coin roll, take an extra second. That small difference you almost overlooked? It could be worth more than you ever imagined. Up next, we're diving into a coin that might seem completely ordinary to most people, the 2000 Denver Roosevelt dime. You probably have a handful of these coins scattered around your house, maybe even in your pocket right now. They're everywhere, and on the surface, they look just like any other dime. But this particular coin hides a fascinating secret, one that has made it a prized possession among collectors and turned it into a valuable rarity. Let's take a moment to step back and understand the world of coin minting at the turn of the millennium. The year 2000 was a milestone for many reasons, a fresh start to a new century and new millennium. For the US Mint, it was business as usual, cranking out millions upon millions of coins to meet the country's everyday needs. The Denver Mint, one of the nation's largest and most efficient coin producers, was responsible for striking billions of dimes that year. Every single coin was meant to be identical, created through a highly precise and automated process. But perfection is a tough standard to maintain, especially when producing coins at such an incredible volume. Sometimes, small irregularities slip through, and that's exactly what happened with this particular dime. What makes this 2000D Roosevelt dime so special is the presence of a double die error, a minting anomaly that's invisible to most casual observers but highly prized by collectors. If you're not familiar, a double die error occurs during the manufacturing of the dies, the metal tools used to stamp the coin designs onto blank planchets. During this process, the die is supposed to be impressed once with the coin's design. But occasionally, due to a misalignment or a mistake, the die is struck twice with the design slightly shifted. When coins are then struck from this doubled die, they show a doubled image, usually visible on the date, letters, or other raised details. On this particular 2000D dime, the doubling can be seen on the date and parts of the lettering on the obverse side. It's subtle enough to avoid immediate detection but pronounced enough that when examined closely, it becomes unmistakable. The numbers look like they have a shadow or a ghost image, a kind of echo of the design that shouldn't be there. What's fascinating is how this tiny flaw opens a window into the minting process itself. It's a glimpse behind the scenes of a highly industrialized, automated system where even the smallest mechanical hiccup creates something entirely unique. Most of the 2000D dimes produced that year were flawless, perfectly struck and uniform. The few that carry this double die error stand apart as mistakes that survived quality control and made it into circulation. That rarity immediately makes them intriguing to collectors. Condition is another huge factor in determining the value of this coin. Many error coins lose value if they've been circulated heavily and show signs of wear and damage. But the most valuable examples of this 2000D double die dime have remained in excellent condition, with sharp details and clear doubling, untouched by time or rough handling. These coins have often been pulled from circulation early or preserved by collectors who recognize their rarity. Because of this, they can command prices far beyond what most modern coins ever reach. What's also interesting about this coin is that it challenges common assumptions about value in coin collecting. Many people assume that only old coins, rare metals, or special commemoratives can be valuable. But here's a modern dime, made mostly of copper and nickel, worth thousands simply because of a small but unmistakable error. It reminds us that value in coin collecting isn't just about age or precious metals, it's about story, rarity, condition, and sometimes, happy accidents. Another aspect collectors love is the hunt itself. This coin's error isn't easy to spot with the naked eye. You need a keen eye, a magnifying glass, or a microscope to truly appreciate the double details. That makes finding one feel like uncovering a secret treasure. This kind of discovery turns an everyday coin into a talking point, a centerpiece for any collection, and a great conversation starter. Plus, as more collectors learn about this rare 2000D double die, demand continues to grow, pushing its value even higher. The coin also serves as a reminder of the mint's commitment to quality control, that even with strict standards, human and mechanical errors occasionally make their way into circulation, adding an unexpected twist to an otherwise routine process. So, what does this all mean in terms of real-world value? While your everyday 2000 Denver dime is worth exactly 10 cents, this special double die error variety is valued at a striking $47,000. This coin represents the perfect storm of modern minting rarity, a small flaw that survived the massive production lines, preserved well enough to tell its unique story, and cherished by collectors who understand its significance. It's a fascinating reminder that sometimes, the extraordinary hides in the most ordinary places. So next time you sift through your coins or empty a pocket full of change, keep an eye out. That unassuming dime might just hold a story worth more than you ever imagined. Moving on to our final coin for today, the 2016 Roosevelt dime, a coin that, at first glance, might appear as just another piece of everyday change, but which holds a fascinating secret that makes it a gem for coin collectors. This dime, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, carries a rare error that has captured the attention of numismatists and enthusiasts alike. The Roosevelt dime has a long history in American coinage, first introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, honoring his dedication to public service and his leadership during challenging times. The design, featuring Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, has become iconic, instantly recognizable, and widely circulated. It's a coin that nearly everyone has handled at some point, but what few know is that among the millions produced, some carry unexpected surprises. The 2016 Roosevelt dime stands out not because of its design but because of a rare error, one of those quirks that occurred despite the advanced technology and rigorous quality controls employed by the U.S. Mint. In an age where machinery can produce coins with incredible precision, errors like this are exceptionally uncommon, making each discovery noteworthy. Let's take a deeper look into what makes this dime special. The error present on this 2016 dime is subtle yet significant. Unlike the more obvious minting errors you may have heard about, such as missing dates or large double dies, this coin's flaw is a slight doubling in the lettering or mint mark or a minor distortion along the coin's edge or rim. To the untrained eye, these features may seem insignificant or invisible, but to collectors who specialize in error coins, they are like hidden clues pointing to rarity and value. Understanding how such an error occurs requires a peek into the minting process. Coins are created by striking blank metal discs, called planchets, with metal dies that have the coin's design engraved on them. Each step in this process must be exact. However, due to the high-speed nature of modern coin production, slight misalignments or die imperfections can occur. When a die strikes a planchet twice or when the dies themselves are misaligned, doubling can result. This doubling shows up as faint shadows or outlines of letters and numbers on the coin's surface. The 2016 P dime with this error likely resulted from a die that was improperly prepared or struck more than once during its creation. Because the mint tries to catch and remove such defects, coins that carry these errors are rare and exciting finds. Collectors prize these dimes not only for their rarity but also because of their near-mint condition. Many error coins lose value if heavily circulated because wear can obscure the error details. But many of these 2016 dimes remain crisp and sharp, either saved by collectors early or never fully circulated. This pristine condition adds to their allure and value. The growing interest in modern error coins is an interesting development in the numismatic community. While classic coins from the 19th and early 20th centuries have long dominated collections, today's collectors are increasingly fascinated by errors on contemporary coins. This interest stems from the fact that modern minting techniques should theoretically eliminate errors, making any mistake all the more remarkable. This 2016 P Roosevelt dime error perfectly exemplifies this phenomenon. It's a modern coin that defies expectations and offers a unique story. When collectors acquire such a coin, they're not just adding a dime to their collection, they're gaining a piece of minting history that illustrates how even the most advanced processes can produce surprises. The value of this coin reflects its rarity and condition. While it's impossible to state an exact price, as values fluctuate based on collector demand and the coin's grade, these dimes can fetch several $1,000s in the right market. This makes it an exceptional find, especially when you consider that its face value is just 10 cents. For collectors, the hunt for coins like this is part of the thrill. It encourages a more detailed examination of everyday currency, turning what might otherwise be overlooked into an exciting adventure. Finding an error coin like this feels like stumbling upon a secret in plain sight, a reminder that even the most familiar objects can hold surprises. In addition, owning such a coin connects collectors to a broader community. Error coins spark conversations, trades, and exchanges of knowledge, helping build networks of enthusiasts who appreciate the nuances of coin minting and collecting. Beyond just monetary value, the 2016 P Roosevelt dime error embodies the blend of history, art, and technology that makes coin collecting a rich and rewarding hobby. It invites collectors to look beyond the surface and appreciate the complexity behind even the smallest items. When you hold this coin, you're not just holding money, you're holding a story of human craftsmanship, technological precision, and the occasional glitch that turns a simple dime into something extraordinary. So next time you come across a dime from 2016, especially one minted in Philadelphia, take a closer look. With a bit of patience and a magnifying glass, you might discover this rare error, an unexpected treasure in your pocket or coin jar. Thank you for joining me on this fascinating journey through some of the most intriguing and valuable dimes out there. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting to explore the world of coins, keep your eyes open and your curiosity alive. You never know which coin might surprise you next. And with that, we conclude today's list. Stay curious, keep collecting, and happy hunting.